Hello, welcome to episode 1 of the Edible Energy podcast. In this podcast, I want to, well, this is, I guess, like the pilot podcast of episode 1. So I'll explain what the podcast is and how it is slightly different from Multiple Things Can Exist. This podcast will be talking about my journey and where I am, where I started when I went vegan, where I am now, and the array of things that I've learned throughout my journey, which will be food related, relationship related, self growth and development related. Like it's definitely going to be intertwined with a lot of things that I think we all just experience living life. But my journey just happened to start from food, and I just want to share my story with everyone because I often get asked in different ways of why I went vegan, why I'm not vegan anymore, how I got interested in cooking, how I got interested in fitness, or I mean, I grew up pretty athletic. I played a lot of sports, but I never really took fitness that seriously. It was more of just something I did with friends and family and stuff like that. But, um, so yeah, I'm excited to just kind of explore, and it's kind of like an audio journal of sorts. I've never been like great with journaling. I talk a lot, I talk with my hands a lot, and sometimes writing on paper. I guess I just feel a little bit restricted, which is weird because I do pretty well with text messaging, so I don't know how that I don't know how that works, but um so yeah, I'm excited to start this journey. And I think this is different from edible energy. Hold on, let me close my window so that I can. Okay, sorry, I had to close my window. Um So this podcast differs from Multiple Things Can Exist because the birth of that idea came from just wanting to talk about an array of topics and not really having like a focal point. And I think I was trying to find a way to really bring that into my brand, and I didn't know how where the intersection was. And it wasn't until like literally earlier this year, where I thought, oh my gosh, like edible energy is so much more than just cooking. I don't have to, try to create a, a different brand that somehow is related to, and like edible energy encompasses so much. And I think I was just overthinking it. And so it's okay. We're back on track. um, but yeah, anyways, so this episode is titled I Turned My Diet into a Lifestyle. Um, I've written a blog about it, so go to my website under the garden page and you will see my blog post that I posted back in 2022, but it's still relevant and I still want to talk and kind of dissect more. And so that's kind of what the cadence of, I think, that's going to be the cadence of how the podcast will work. Write something and then I'll post an episode kind of diving deeper into it, all kind of teasing up to eventually I would love to create a YouTube channel just so you can put a visual to the voice that you're hearing. And I'm very a physical person. I'm very animated, so I just feel like having the YouTube channel will definitely help bring out the energy and help me tell my story in a more colorful way. So definitely excited about that. I'm trying to figure out what my setup's gonna be. Um, I live at home with my family, so it's not always kind of like the easiest to set up, get a set together and do all these things and eliminate noise and sound. So, bear with me, but this is definitely something I want to commit to because I think it is a way for me to push out more content. Because this year, that's like all I'm thinking about is I just want to push out content. I just want to start doing things. I don't want to overthink things like I've done so many times from 2020 when I first started this business, and it's been 3 years, and I feel like I'm still not at a place where I feel like I'm thriving in it. And I feel like I'm not there because I'm not doing things, I'm just overthinking. I'm definitely a person who can get caught up in the planning stages, and then it takes forever for me to get to execution. But when I execute, I can execute, but making that leap has always been hard for me. So I think by doing things in small doses, but as long as progress is happening, that is a great way for me to kind of break that curse that's there. Um, this being one of them. So let's get into it. So turning my diet into a lifestyle, I know it's a pretty big statement. The clickbaiter in me was like, that's gonna get the people going. But turning my diet into a lifestyle was something that I wasn't really intentional about, but I realized along my journey that it was going to help me really stay committed to my new like diet. Um, and I know there's a lot of controversy in the word diet and just changing your how you eat food, how you see food, your relationship to food. I know everyone has a lot of ideas. So let me just preface this by saying this is my journey, and I am bringing you into my story, right? So I am not, my goal isn't to project my life onto other people or to force people to do anything with their lives and at all. Actually, if anything, this journey taught me that the best way to influence people is to do the things that you're preaching, just live your life. And whoever sees that and is attracted to that and follows that, that's amazing, that's beautiful. And whoever doesn't, they don't, they don't. And that's fine too. But yeah, so I just felt like I kind of had to do that disclaimer just because I know people are ready to cancel you. And I have varying opinions about, cancel culture and its benefits and stuff like that. But it's definitely a different episode altogether. And I don't want to dive into that right now, but um, I am aware. So part of turning my diet into a lifestyle, it happened in phases, and there are multiple things that I've learned um, helped me like make this thing that was just a simple diet into something that folded into my day-to-day life. And one of the ways I was able to turn my diet into my lifestyle was I rediscovered my passion for cooking. And that's crazy for me to say because I didn't know I had a passion for cooking until I had to do it because, I was preparing my own meals and buying my own food, and everyone in my household wasn't vegan. So I had to make that, I had to adapt. And so as I was doing those things, I started paying attention to how cooking made me feel. And it just, there was just this very calming aspect that I would get when I would cook a meal. Like I remember there were times where I would literally be like feel like I was rushing home just so I could like I'd put my bag on the table and my books, on damn near on the ground. And I just go to the kitchen, I just start cooking. I would even know what I was about to make. I would just start getting ingredients and just start chopping stuff and start just putting things together. And I noticed how seamless that set of activities was for me, how seamless and how easy it was for me to do that. And I say rediscover my passion because growing up, I I wasn't in the kitchen as much, but I was always watching my dad cook. And that was kind of like our bonding. So my mom cooked. And mom, if you hear this one day, know that it's all out of love. But definitely, I would say growing up, at least, we looked forward to my dad cooking on the weekends, and that's usually when he cooked because that's when he had time to do it. And he would usually cook more of traditional Liberian dishes, West African dishes. Um, and so, and usually when he cooked those things, they took like all day. And so I would kind of, have a stool, or I would just be standing and literally kind of just walk, pacing with him in the kitchen, in our small kitchen. But during that time, we would talk, just about life. I would tell him, my drama at school and my friends and stuff. But I would just be watching him cook. And I remember just feeling so jealous and just wanting to be, like at the stove. And when he'd tell me, hey, can you mix this for me? I'd be like, yes. I'd be like, finally, he chose me. I am the chosen one with the spoon. Um, and it just made me feel so like confident, and the fact that he was trusting me with the food, I'm like, okay, like it's this is building trust, right? And so yeah, I remember just oftentimes I would just kind of be craving that, just wanting to be in the driver's seat when it came to cooking meals. And so he kind of started me off as a prep. I was like his sous chef. And so whenever he would make something, or we knew that he was going to make something, he'd be like, hey, Anna, can you prep the food or prep the stuff? And I knew exactly what that meant because in every dish we have at least onions and tomatoes and garlic and pepper. Those are like the staples of every dish. So whenever I was told to prep, like those were things. And I remember just like cutting the onions and crying and trying not to cry and things like that. Making sure my knife cuts were good, making sure if he asked me to dice something, they were diced versus just chopped. And so I took it very seriously. And of course, it got to a point where I was just like, I'm sick of prepping, like put me in, coach. I've been cutting onions all day. I'm ready to, be in the mix and be a part of it. Like, put me in the fire. Like I'm good. I'm ready to go. Um, So I say that story um, to just explain and kind of really go into why I specify the word rediscover, because everything I just explained is a level of passion, connected with cooking, even though like I wasn't, actually making and transforming the food on the stove. I was a part of the early stages of it. I was a part of cultivating things and making sure that things were ready so that when my dad was cooking, it just made the process more seamless. And just noticing how excited I was just to be in the kitchen, just to be around what was going on and just to be a part of it just made me so excited. So when I was when I went vegan and I had to cook for myself, that's exactly what happened. I felt like I was in control of my life a bit, like I knew that no one else was going to make this food for me, and I didn't expect my family to just bend and, adhere to all of my new needs. So I had to become more self-sufficient, and I kind of rediscovered my passion for cooking and through that. And so I think the more that it became something fun and I looked forward to doing it, it just it became less of a chore and more of something that I was excited to do. So I remember, like, kind of like I mentioned before, I get so excited, ready to get home just so I can cook something. Or like on the weekends, I would look forward to going grocery shopping so I can like look at the different ingredients I was going to get and start thinking about the different meals I was going to create. Um, and it's funny because I always tell people, like, I'm like the total opposite of most people, or maybe even women my age, in that, or maybe not women, I would just stick with people. But I always hear people say, like, I hate grocery shopping. Like, it's such a, ugh, it's like just one of those chores that people have. And for me, it's it's the flip side. I love grocery shopping. I would rather go grocery shopping than clothes shopping. I I've never liked clothes shopping. And that could just be because every time we went when we were kids, it was always like back to school shopping or whatever, and it was just like it was just such a drag, and we were in the store all day and we were trying stuff on the store. We'd get home, my mom would make us try on stuff when we got home, and we'd call it like a fashion show. And so I just was never, I just, as I, when I became an adult, when I had to like shop for things, I was always like in and out. Like sometimes I would even try things on because I wanted to just get in and out so bad. Um, but anyways, so yeah, for me, grocery shopping is that joy, like even sometimes when I'm out, I will spontaneously go to the grocery store and pick up stuff. Like if I'm out doing something else and I drive by the market, I'd be like, let's see what they have in there. And sometimes I'll walk out with nothing, but I kind of treat it like it's a mall of sorts. So yeah, I'm 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 the person who will go to a farmer's market and geek out if I see like a vegetable that's like oversized or in a weird shape. Like it's just something else. But so yeah, it definitely became a part of my life. Like something I looked forward to, and something I started mm, planning out my days, already knowing in my mind that I was going to cook at some point. And then it became more of my lifestyle when I started meal prepping. Um, I don't I meal prep every other week now. Now, in the beginning, I started meal prepping because um, I was kind of new at the vegan lifestyle, and so it was hard for me to make things really quick. Everything kind of like took had a process to it, right? Like I couldn't just whip up eggs in the morning real quick when I had 20 minutes before because I leave for work very early in the morning. And so I literally have 15, sometime 20, but most likely 15 or less minutes to, and this is after, I shower, get dressed, and then I have like a remainder amount of time to like make food and get out the house if I don't meal prep. And so when I first went vegan, my my meals for lunch were horrible. I mean, they tasted decent, but they were just sad. Like, I remember I had a tomato sandwich. I remember one day I had a tomato sandwich. Like, I am not even exaggerating. Like, it was literally two pieces of bread, tomatoes in between, and I think maybe some type of like vegan mayo I found. Or no, it wasn't even that because I didn't have vegan mayo at the time. I used olive oil. And like I remember like the juice from the tomatoes had made the bread soggy, and I mean it tasted okay, like it wasn't the end of the world, but I remember being at work like, God, I gotta step this up. We gotta change this up. Um and so I remember I remember um I remember just thinking, okay, what am I gonna do so that I am eating decent food at work? Because I can't not bring a decent lunch to work because that's going to affect my performance at work, and it just wasn't going to be good, right? So I I started meal prepping. So every Sunday, I on usually on Saturdays I go shopping and then I'd cook on Sunday and then I'd cook for the week. And I remember at one time I was doing two different meals. So usually like a salad and a pasta or, like a soup and a rice or something like that. Two different meals I would alternate. That was when I was really ambitious. Um, because in my mind, I was like, no, I can't eat the same thing every day. I'll get sick of it. Why did I think that when I grew up eating the same thing for a whole week? I don't know. I don't know. I think my appetite just got bougie when I went vegan. I was like, I can't eat the same thing every day. Who does that? It was like, man, the first 23 years of your life, you were doing that. So relax. Um, but yeah, but I think having to make or challenging myself in making two meals for within a week, I I experimented with so many dishes. Like I can think of so many different just combinations of food and so now I don't meal prep as much, but I can come up with like things in the morning. I can make things really fast because I know like, oh, let me just put this, and this together. I usually end up just eating leftovers, especially now that I'm not vegan anymore. It is easier for me to kind of whip things together. But yeah, it was. That's always a funny story for me to tell people when I first went vegan because I think sometimes people have a assumption of what it was like being vegan and you know sometimes to kind of humanize the conversation, not humanize but like normalize the conversation. um I kind of talk about how not so pretty side of being vegan and how it was a struggle trying to one. I will make another video about this, about how cost effective it is to be vegan because I have different thoughts. I have very very different thoughts, and a lot of them. It really depends on what you're trying to make or how you eat. Can definitely influence how pricey being vegan is or is not. Again, I'll definitely make a future video about it, but I think there's a lot of assumptions that come with being vegan. Maybe I'll have a series of like dispelling some of those like myths or assumptions or whatever. But yeah, I noticed that people would kind of like come to me in like a little tiptoe of like, what can I say? What can I not say? And oh, you're vegan, you probably eat like this and da da da. And I kind of just like to normalize the process. Like, yeah, I did it because I had a lot of stomach issues, and so I just cut out dairy, meat, or just animal products in general. And but it wasn't, it wasn't fun all the time. Like, especially going out to eat with friends and things like that. Like, um, I always had to be the one asking for the hidden menu in the back, or, let me get the green menu, or does this have X, Y, and Z in it? And the host is looking at, or the waitress is looking at me crazy, and my friends are looking at me like, are you gonna order? And one could argue that my friends could do a better job. Like, here's a note. If someone in your group has dietary restrictions, I'm not saying to cater to them, but I am saying to just be aware, acknowledge that, when you guys are choosing places to eat, just even ask them. I would imagine some people may not care. They'd be like, yeah, go and get it. I'll probably eat before I get there, or, I'll go to the place, across the street or whatever, or I won't go, But I do think that, it's a good thing to still be courteous. You hear that in the back. I think it's still good to be courteous about that and consider, people with different dietary restrictions when you are trying to go out as a group setting to eat. If you're trying to do something together, you know, be good to be aware of that type of stuff. But anyways, again, not saying completely cater your whole life to that person's dietary restrictions or needs, but if they are your friend, Hey, maybe consider them. But anyways, speaking from a personal place, clearly. Um, yeah, I also learned along this journey that consistency was going to be the key to this process. And consistency was something that I was not great at in other areas of my life. Um, for an example, I love writing, and specifically, I love writing stories. I love writing scenes. I did theater in high school. I almost wanted to go to SF State to do screenwriting. Like, I was really wanting to be serious about it. I have tons of stories I've started, haven't finished one of them, haven't finished a single one of them. I have tons of business ideas that I've thought of, and I have not sought them all the way through. This is edible energy is like the one thing that I've kind of pushed forward and committed to and just did. And it only happened because I just did it. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start this business. And my partner at the time was also in that same space of like, just do it. Yeah, yeah, do it, do it. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And now I have a business that I pay taxes for. Um, so so I am proud of starting Edible Energy. It was definitely something I did ambitiously. I kind of feel like I why is that so loud? I'm so sorry if you are hearing background noise. My father's watching television. You're gonna hear a lot of this type of stuff. So many background noises. But anyways, it's okay because we're gonna be wrapping up soon. Um, where was I even? Where was I? Consistency is key. Um, so yeah, edible energy is something that I'm proud of and I want to keep pursuing, and I think that's why I'm just gonna try to go back to that mentality of when I first started this whole thing. It doesn't stop when now that I have the business, I have to, create things so I can keep the business going and make it something that is engaging and that is actually helping people. And so I have so many ideas. I'm so sorry. I have so many ideas. Um, and I'm just excited to move forward with them and to be consistent with them. And I don't know if irony is the right word, but the crazy part of all of this is everything that I'm going to be teaching, that I'm learning, are the same things that I need to apply to keep this business going. It's the epitome of take your own advice. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited. I think I have a much clearer vision of where I want to take edible energy and how I want to integrate storytelling, something that I am passionate about and I thought I would give up at one point in my life, but I'm excited to see that I'm bringing it into another thing that I love, which is food. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited to just pump out some more content for you all um and just see where this goes, see where it takes us, maybe in 10 years I'll realize, hey, this wasn't, the best thing. But hopefully not. Hopefully in 10 years we look back on this and we say, man, that was a rough first 3 years, but the last seven nailed it. Um, so yeah, that's gonna be fun. Hopefully looking back at a higher place, right? Um, but yeah, overall, I would say for this episode, the main takeaway is really that me rediscovering my passion for cooking is really a major key into turning something that was a diet and making it more a part of my life. Because seeing something as a diet, it's very restrictive. It's very like it can almost be seen as like homework, or it could be seen as something that you have to do, and when you have to do something that can just change your whole mindset of how you internalize what you're going to get out of it and how you approach it. And all of this, it is mind, body, and soul. Like if you're committing to something that you want to be your life, to make it a lifestyle, like you are really committing so much to it. And I think the only way for you to really love it and authentically commit to it is to really make it a part of your life, to really bring it in as a family member almost, right? So so yeah, I'm excited to share the different ways that I have been able to turn my diet or turn this diet into a lifestyle. Um, and yeah, I'm excited to share it with you. I'm excited to hopefully inspire other people to make transitions in their life. And if the tools that I've learned, if they can help other people, I think that's just a beautiful thing. So, yay, episode one. Um, Other episodes, lengthwise, I'm trying to aim for 30 minutes. I talk a lot, I ramble a lot, so it won't always be 30 minutes. We might get a 40, we might get an hour, we don't know. But I'm gonna try to aim for like 30, 45 minutes. Though I would love, to expand this to something deeper. Eventually, I would love to get guests on my show and to talk to other people about transitions they're making in their lives and the things that they're learning. And yeah, I really want to bring this into the garden aspect of edible energies. So the garden is kind of where I tell stories, where we learn from each other, kind of like a community almost, like a community garden essentially, right? And I see the garden representing your body. You got to nourish your garden. You have to reflect on your garden. You have to check up on yourself, right? So that's why my tagline is edible energy, feed the garden. You're feeding your soul, you're feeding your mind, you're feeding your body. Um, so yeah, follow me on my social channels. Sorry, I'm thinking about the channels I started but have nothing on it. I'm like, do I promote that? Let's start with my Instagram. I have an Instagram, at Edible Energy FTG. Um, so yeah, basically like the same handle for my website. Follow me on Instagram at Edible Energy FTG. I also have a creative channel, not necessarily related to edible energy, but I definitely want to tie it in someday. It is @_SAAB .8. Again, that is my creative channel if you want to follow me there. I also have my website, which is edibleenergyftg.com. That is where you can see my blog posts and see what I've written so far. I have 3 blogs up right now. My goal is to put out a blog post a month. That also means that I will be having an episode per month. That's what we're going to start with, and that's what we are going to commit to. Um, so yeah, you can hold me to that. I'm gonna hold myself to that. Everyone can hold me to that. But that is the goal. Um, so yeah, I have a Facebook page too. Everything is basically under Edible Energy unless kind of specified otherwise. But you can get to my Facebook page. There's nothing on it, but it's there. And you can get to that on my website as well. And you can get to my Instagram on my website. So there you go. Oh, also, if you want to listen to this episode, I'm not sure what you're currently to it on, but I am on Spotify, Anchor, Google Play, and 2 other things that Anchor allows me to put this on. I kind of just did, hey, yeah, just put me everywhere, but it's related to what Anchor, like who they partner with. So thank you, Anchor. This is a free platform, and this is making, this phase and allowing me to just be more consistent. This is making it so much easier. Oh my God. another thing. I just be talking. So if we have any like grammar gurus in here, you're gonna be very disappointed sometimes. But this is just how I talk. I just be going with the flow. So yeah. And that also wasn't a sponsorship for Anchor. But Anchor, if you do want me to, if you want to do something, have call my people, I'll call your people, we can make something happen. I'm gonna put that out there. Anyways, I hope you have a great day, night, evening, morning, whenever you're listening to this. Just do something amazing, love yourself, trust yourself, and don't forget to feed the garden. All right, I'll see y'all, or I'll talk to y'all later.